Okay, so it's a new year. This is Ringwalk Media in association with Well Ice Therapy. And we've got our good friend Jay Byrne from JB Promotions very kindly come on, spared some time for us. He's got his second show after the renowned success of the first one. And we're going to speak to Jay about what's going on. It's nice to see you, mate. Happy New Year.
Same to you, Johnny. I hope you had a good Christmas, mate.
Very quiet, mate. Very quiet. I think a lot of people were the same. How about yourself?
Yeah, I had a lovely Christmas. Had a kind of very tough December,
Yeah.
and then I had a nice Christmas day, and then I headed to Vegas on Stephen's Day with the family. Had a lovely week over there, and we got back to business then the first week in December. Back to work, get back working on the promotional gigs and signing some more boxers. And yeah, I'm excited about this year. I had a that break over Christmas was nice. I need to
Yeah.
slow down a little bit. Took a little bit too much on last year. Um, so this year I'll be valuing my time a lot more and using it more wisely, as they say, working harder, not smart, working smarter, not harder.
Sounds like a good plan, mate. And I tell you what, you're working smarter. The recall, 9th of February. And what a card you're putting together, mate. What a card. Before we talk about this card, the first debut show was an absolute blast of success. It was sold out. They were queuing down the door, couldn't get in. You must have been completely and overwhelmed with the success of how well you did.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I was yeah, for me sitting there on the night, it's very hard to sit and actually take it all in and enjoy it because I'm watching for what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong and what we need to fix. And I had the phone out and I was taking notes into my notes on my phone just of little things that I wasn't happy with and things. But when I look back on it the day after and the day after that, yeah, I was very happy with it. Very when you think of a card that had 7 fights and they were all 4 rounders and everyone was saying, "Jay, there's only 7 4 rounders against Journeyman," no one expected a card to have proper 50-50
They
fights.
were.
And like I said from day one, there will be days when the lads will have easy fights, but there'll
Well,
also be
that
days when they have tough fights.
I'll tell you what, you went for a debut with tough fights. It was so pleasing to see, and it was a cracking night of boxing, which is refreshing. So listen, let's talk about the second show, and our good friend Mr. Senan Kelly has got a title fight. Tell us about that fight.
Yeah, look, the press conference, Senan said what he wanted. He signed for me just a couple of weeks before the press conference, and I like every one of the fighters. We sit, we talk, we ask them what they want. I asked them what they're looking for, and Senan said he wants to fight for titles. He feels he's ready to fight for titles, and obviously we needed a warm up fight, first fight together, get him back in the ring. Under me, I felt a lot of his opponents in his early days were, in my opinion, kind of wasteful.
Average.
Kind of, they weren't really too much learning. He definitely gets better spurs than what he was fighting, and I felt,
Yeah.
he needed a test, and I got him a test. The test let me down, so I got him another test. And he came through a test, but he had a bad camp. He admitted that on air afterwards. We won't go back over that,
No.
but he admitted he hadn't got a great camp. He didn't perform as well as he can on the night, and I hope his opponent was watching that fight and thinking that's Senan at his best, because I know Senan has a lot more in him, and he's a tough fight in front of him.
Jake
It's a clash of
Jake
styles.
yeah, Jake Tinkling has got exactly the same style as Senan, so this bodes for a very, very good title fight.
He's long, he's tall, he's skinny, he likes the box, but if you try put it on him, he wants to stand with you and fight, and that's what Senan will do. I'm sure he'll stand and fight with him, and I'm hoping that Senan will be on it on the night, and he should be winning his first title, please God.
Well, let's keep our fingers crossed that that's a good fight. And it's good to see Matthew Tyndall back on the card after a fantastic, fantastic first fight.
Yeah, I think Matthews again. Matthew never took a break. Matthew was back in the gym on the Monday. He was lucky. He boxed for 3 minutes. After putting in the work he put in last year, overall from April right through, it was a fantastic night for him.
It's a
You
great
know,
night for him.
yeah, I thought he boxed really well. I thought he showed maturity and the whole lot, and he gained confidence from it because before that fight, he was sparring and the whole lot. But like after that fight, he went out to Pete Taylor's gym. He was out there a few times. He was sparring Sean McComb. He was sparring Tyrone McKenna. He was recently sparring Senan Kelly. The level of his sparring has gone up.
Yeah.
His weight is really good at the minute. I think he's sitting at about 69, 70 kilos walking around. That's after Christmas. His championship weight is going to be 63, 64, but we're not in a rush to go there. We're probably going to sit at 67 for this one, maybe 66 and a half. And again, it's step by step with Matthew. He's a kid. He's 21 years of age. He's been out of the ring for a while. He had a 3-minute debut. This fight, I'm bringing in someone that is known to do the rounds. And my job this time is to get Matthew for tough rounds. As in 4 rounds that he ain't going to get in there and he's not going to get rid of a lad. I want him to do 4 rounds this time. But if the opportunity comes, we take him out.
I mean, we hadn't seen that much of Matthew before. But I was very, very surprised at his maturity for a debut fight as well. He almost sort of stole the show that night. I was very impressed with him.
Yeah, he did. I just thought he was very mature. I think his performance got overlooked by the wars that were on the card. And then he had Luke's comeback and he knocked the guy out, Jimmy Cooper out, and O'Shane was in that fight against that Polish guy at 2-0 with 2 knockouts, and that was a barnstormer after round 2 that really heated up, and the crowd was electric for that. And then Senan's fight was another war. Glenn's debut with Alan White was a war. And I just don't think, because Matthew's fight was just boxing, he just got in and he basically showed maturity and box rings around the guy. I don't think people really appreciate his debut as much as I did from watching it from outside.
We did as well.
Yeah, I think like boxing people really would have appreciated his debut, whereas I think the crowd and the public love the wars. They love to scream and they love to shout and they love the excitement. Whereas Matthew just getting to give a boxing lesson for 3 minutes and that was his night done.
Well, listen, you mentioned Glyn BYRNE, no relation apart from being a brother. He had a very, very tough fight on his debut, but now it's down to business. You've seen how good he is. He's got to get back in there and get back on the horse, so to speak, isn't he?
Yeah, but it'd be, again, as I said to you, this will be a different fight. This won't be you're going into another war, because there's only so many wars you can have in your career before they start taking their toll. And you don't do too much learning when you're in a war. I learn a lot. I learn, has he got heart? Has he got balls? Can he fight in a tough environment? And we learned all that about Glenn. So we don't need to learn that again, because we know he has it. We know when it goes deep into trenches, Glenn will be there and he will be fighting. This fight, I plan on bringing in someone that Glenn can box, and if he can put the punches together that we've been working on, there'd be a possibility that Glenn could maybe get rid of this opponent.
Okay, but
I have the opponents all made. I have all the opponents done. I have all the matchmaking done. Obviously, some may change, but there's not many shows in the year before our show, so I think the journeymen and that will be safe. So I'm fairly confident their opponents are going to come as I have them all planned. And the opponent I have for Glenn, he's been stopped a few times. Senan actually stopped him in the stadium. Senan stopped him in the stadium in April. So I would be liking to think that if Glenn could put the punches together the way we've been training, and that I'd like to see this being another learning curve for Glenn. How to deal with when an opportunity comes in a fight to take someone out. Does he know how to do it? Does he know how to put the punches together, or does he? You see a lot of people, the fellas there to be taken out, and they go swinging over them, and they're just swinging and swinging. I want Glenn to show maybe a little bit of what Matthew showed in November, a bit of maturity and a bit of composure, and pick his shots, and when the time's right, maybe take a shot.
It's nice to see that you're actually sort of backing up what you say, because when we first spoke to you about you doing these shows, you wanted to progress shows and young fighters and debut fighters the way they should be. And it's very easy to say that, as you know, in boxing, the things change so last minute. But so far, you've kind of been a man of your word. Already this second show is shaping up to be a progression show for the new lads. You're putting a couple of names on as well, which are a little bit further down the line. It's just so nice to see that actually the vision is becoming reality.
Yeah, well, I did say, and I was actually speaking to someone today, and I said on day one, this isn't just come in, throw on a few shows, make a quick book, and away we go. It's not about that. This is about building not just the boxers, but building us as a brand. So
Yeah.
on debut show, we had three debuts. On the second show, we also have three debuts. And on the March show, at the minute, we have two debuts. So that'll be in three shows. We'll have 8 new young professionals given opportunities to box where no one else really giving them opportunities, and that's the plan for this. But again, you can't sell a card with just these debuts. You need to have some lads that are a little bit further on their careers, lads ready for titles, and that's what happened. And in 5-6 shows down this year, I'm sure maybe the Glenn or the Matthew or the Oshin and
Yeah.
these lads making their debuts will then be at Celtic title level, and we'll have a new crop coming in behind. And I'm hoping it'll be like a conveyor belt and just roll through like that. That's what I have envisioned. And so far, so good. We're going to come across hiccups. I've come across a lot of hiccups. You know, on the first show, we had a lot of hiccups. We might not have shown it, on that a lot of people wouldn't have seen what was going on behind the scenes, but we managed with it well. And so far on this show, everything is gone according to plan. There's no stress. There's no panic. It's basically ran. The show is ready to go. There's not an awful lot to do. There's probably 100 tickets. There's 100 tickets, I think, and 2 tables left, and that's where we're at with a month to go. So, like, now, obviously, some of the fighters may return some of their tickets, but I don't just hand the fighters a big bulk of tickets and say, "There you go sell them. Come back to me what you don't sell." I ask the fighters, "How many tickets do you want?"
Yeah.
They go do their numbers. They come back to me and say, "Well, I need X amount of these, X amount of them, X amount of this." So I give them. So I'm kind of expecting that they would sell them because that's what they've asked for.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm usually quite accurate on the ticket sales. So yeah,
well,
we've also come on.
No, I was going to say it's good to see that, and it's refreshing to see a promoter sort of taking into consideration what boxers can sell instead of putting pressure on them.
Yeah, look, again, a lot of people don't understand professional boxing.
No.
A lot of people don't understand professional boxing, and there's costs that have to be made, and the costs, in my opinion, are ridiculous. And that's not costs from myself, costs from the boxing union, or that. It's like journeyman costs are expensive. I tell you, it's one man making great money. Genuinely, it is. Like, I mean, you'll be lucky to get a journeyman in 4 rounds for 1,500 quid. You'll be lucky. You know, then 6 rounds it goes up. You're over the $2,000 mark. You know, depending on the level of the journeyman you want, and it goes up and up and up.
Yeah.
You know, and the lack of people wanting to fight each other is a big problem. Like, I mean, Senan Kelly, we couldn't get an Irish opponent, so we had to pay
flights, accommodation,
a guy
team.
in. Yeah, but you'd pay him a big purse. You're asking a guy to come in that's 11 for 1 with to come in and fight 8 rounds in Senan's hometown on Senan's promoter show, Senan's manager show. You have to pay flights, you have to pay accommodation, you have to pay meal money, you have to pick them up in the airport, you know, and you have to pay for the belt. There's a lot to go with it. Whereas if you had 2 Irish lads willing to fight each other, you sit the lads down, you say, right, this is what we're going to do. You're going to sell X amount of tickets. That's going to bring in X. You're going to sell X. It's going to bring in Y. Okay, you take that purse. You take that purse, and the contribution to the show will be this, and we'll cover the bill of the belts and officials and things like that. But you two both get a nice purse. But instead, because no one in Ireland will step up to the plate and really fight against Irish people, you're going out to Wales, Scotland, Catalonia, and you're trying to pay. Once you go in there and they know you need them, and you say 8 rounds, you know, you'll be lucky to get an 8-round guy that wants to come in for less than 500 quid a round. And that's the simple side of boxing, and people don't understand that. Like, people probably think Senan's main event, he's fighting for the title, he's making loads of money. No. It doesn't happen like that, and it's terrible. I actually hate that side of the boxing. I think boxing is a terrible business, but it's a beautiful sport, and that's why I'm in it. I need to try keep selling the shows. First show went really well. Sell this show, sell the next, and keep building it so we can start taking brands on board, and then we can start getting sponsors, and then that will subsidize the cost, which will then bring down the cost for the fighters, and the fighters will start making more money. And that's, again, I always say, I'm not in it for the money side of it. Obviously, I'm not going to be stupid and do it for nothing. There has to be something there in the end of the road. But that's not now, this show or the next show. It's down the road I'm talking about. But for now, it's to build the brand, make people want to come to the shows no matter who's on them, because it's a great night's entertainment. And then therefore sponsors be attached. Once sponsors be attached, there's more money involved around the brand. Maybe down the road, get a bit of TV, and then all of a sudden, fighters can fight. Even if they don't sell a massive amount of tickets, they can fight for titles and make money, and that's the longevity of it.
Well, listen, you already in your second show, you've started to attract some names, which is great. you've got Edward Donovan coming on. He's I think he's Paddy's brother, Paddy Donovan's
Yeah,
brother.
Paddy's brother. Yeah, yeah.
So he's one of Ireland's top prospects. I think he's 7-0. I think he last fought out in the States.
Yeah.
It's great to have a fighter of that caliber coming onto your show.
Yeah, well, look, I know Edward's one of Edward's Edward's manager is obviously Tony Bellew,
Of
but
course.
one of his coaches, Jonathan O'Brien, out of Champs Gym, Lanzarote. I know Johnny, and Johnny's been on. We've had good chats. He has a couple of lads there. Jason Hardy's another one, and they were mad to get on the show. And they said the plan was to try get Edward up the ranks, get him into Celtic title fights, Irish title fights. He wants to fight everybody. Now, I had a Celtic title opponent for him, but he wasn't the strongest of opponents, and we put it to the BUI, and the BUI said no, he wasn't strong enough. And I totally understood that. We took it on the chin. But there was up until Thursday there, it was actually going to be 2 Celtic titles on the bill. Edward was going to fight for the light middleweight Celtic title if he got the suitable opponent, and then Senan obviously for the light welterweight. But in an ideal world, we have got a good opponent for Senan. We're actually going to take the opponent that we put forward for the BUI title. We're still taking him over 6 rounds for Edward. So he's a 4-for-1 Spanish guy.
Yeah,
I can't remember his first name. Something Charlie is a second name. Spanish guy. So Edward will fight him, beat him, please God, and we will look for a Celtic title opponent for March 1st.
Yeah, it'll be a great night. That he's a good boxer as well. I've seen him before, and
he's a really nice boxer. He actually done a bit of cardio training with Paddy and my gym up in Bray there before Christmas. 2 really nice lads. So it was a pleasure to be asked to have them on the show. Yeah, it really was.
And from an established boxer to another debut, and you got Sean Murray making his debut. Tell us about Sean. I don't really know much about him.
Sean's a good guy as well. Another good guy. He's actually training with Pete Taylor now, and I know because he's in camp now for the fight, he's actually upped his days down with Pete, so he's down there more. I seen he was sparring there on Instagram yesterday, and Pete's he's actually sparring Big Sham. Remember Big Sham, who was over at my fight in Newcastle?
Indeed.
He was sparring him, and he was doing pads and that today. So I've been chatting to Sean daily for the last couple of weeks, getting all his medicals and his licenses and all sorted. Sean got to the final of the national under-23s there this year. He was beaten in the final by a good boxer out of Dublin Docklands.
Right.
Sean's good. Sean has a lot about him. The amateurs would be, I think the pro game would suit Sean a lot more. Sean's more rugged. He wants to get in, wants to have a fight. He had a couple of them semi-pro fights up the north there on that circuit up there as well, and he done really well up there. And I spoke to a friend of his, which was Chris Blaney, the Irish pro, used to train under Ricky Ham. And Chris recommended him to have a chat with me. And since then, we hit it off, and we're I'm delighted to sign Sean. Sean is going to fight Alan White, who Glenn fought in his debut.
Oh, wow. So that's going to be a very good fight.
Exactly. Again, Sean's not
50-50s in on people's debuts.
Yeah, well, look, Sean,
cracking thing to do.
Well, like Sean has told me, he wants a career like mine. He wants 3 or 4 fights, and he wants to fight. He just wants to fight people. So why put him into a fight where he gets in and bowls a lot over and doesn't learn nothing and spends a fortune on him? So let's pay money, learn. This is a learning fight. You're going to learn more in this fight. Like you tell me how many fights. Say Glenn was a matchroom fighter. How many fights would you have had with matchroom to learn what he learned on that night he had in November? Genuinely, 5, 6 fights before he got near an opponent like that. So with Sean, it's in tough fight. In you get, bed your feet, get through this one, and you're one step closer to going into them 50-50 fights that you've asked for.
Well, there's another debut on the cards, and I've seen him elsewhere. He's a multiple world and European champion kickboxer, and he's now sort of crossing over to boxing. Peter Carr. How on earth has that happened?
Peter, from what I can, no, I don't manage Peter. That's an Ian Cochran fighter. We work with Ian and that, and Peter's a Dublin lad, so it makes sense. But from what I believe, Peter was a boxer first, and then he went to kickboxing.
Yeah,
Peter used to box as an amateur.
He's had quite a lot of amateur fights. I think about 50-odd fights, and I think he won about 48 of them. So he's
from. I spoke to Philip Sutcliffe Senior yesterday, and I was just chatting to him in general about boxing, and we brought up Peter, and everyone talks about Peter can punch. He's a big puncher. He's known to have a big puncher. And I just asked Phil Senior. I said, how hard does he punch? Does he punch anything like Phil Jr.? And he said, oh, I'd probably say he punches just as hard as him. He might not have the boxing skills that young Philip had, but he definitely punches as hard as him. Now, if Philip Senior would be fairly reliable for that information, and I've sparred many rounds with Phil Jr., and I can honestly say he's the hardest puncher I think I've ever been in the ring with. So if Peter Carr hits as hard as Philip, we're going to have an exciting
could be some
time
KOs coming
over the next few months, because everyone likes a puncher.
They do indeed, and it's nice to see that you're putting the debuts on again. There are 3 debuts on this card. I think it's 3, isn't it? You've got Pascal
Peter
Collins trained Shane Meenan as well, hasn't he?
Shane Meehan, yeah, you would have seen Shane before. Shane trained in Peach Gym. He was in Peach Gym for, I think it was 18 months or 2 years, and he lives over beside Pascal's gym, and he ended up moving to Pascal's gym, and he was talking about going pro for a while, and it was like, he wanted to go pro, and he wasn't 100% sure around the pro game, so we had a few chats and the whole lot, and he pushed the button and said, look, I really want to do it. So he's had an amateur career. He's won multiple Dublin Leinster championships as a kid, as a teenager, coming up through the ranks. And he kind of got out of boxing then in his late teens, and then he came back to P. He had a few fights under P. And I sparred Shane a lot when I was coming back. And Shane has a bit about him, all right. I'd be confident in Shane. Shane's the only thing I found when we were training, but again, he never had a fight date or anything. I just found a bit of fitness sometimes let him down. So I feel a very fit Shane is going to be a problem to anyone in around the light, middle to middleweight division.
Now, if people don't really know these names and these boxers so far, and some people wouldn't, especially outside of Ireland, we can honestly tell you these fighters are great fighters, even at debut stage. These have all had very good amateur careers. They're all not showmen, but they want to box, they want to fight, and the skill level in these kind of guys. I mean, like you've said, they've been in Peter Taylor's gym for 18 months before going to a new gym. There is a really good sort of feel about your shows where boxing is going to be the winner.
Yeah. Well, even to some of the lads that may not have the amateur careers that some of the top level lads have, but what they have is they have a lot of heart and a lot of balls that a lot of the top level lads don't have. How many times have we seen top level boys finally get their step up after 10, 15 fights and they fall short because they don't have heart and they don't have balls?
Yeah.
They have all the technical ability in the world, but when they go up against someone else that has the same technical ability but has the bit between their teeth, they fall short. Well, I can tell you some of the lads that we may assign that may not be technically brilliant, they have the heart that will get you through a lot more pro fights than the ability will. So yeah, I'm very confident in what we're doing. Obviously, I don't manage all the fighters on this card, but that's what I said from day one. We will be working with everybody, and like the guys I have on this show, I'm very confident in. I see an exciting few months ahead because these shows are coming thick and fast.
Yeah. Well, listen, we've missed the name off. We're not going to miss him out. The G Train is back. Graham McCormack back in the ring, and he's a character, isn't he?
Yeah, Graham. Geez, before Graham went pro, I sparred him when he came up to. I don't know if he was training or coming out to just have a feel up with Eddie Highland, and I actually sparred him, and then he started training with Eddie as I was kind of finishing up with Eddie. So that's how long I know him. 2016. Really good guy. He's a gas character. Graham is waiting. Graham has been waiting. He's been let down a lot of fights over the last year, and he was supposed to fight Kieran Getting, it fell through. Then there was talk, that fight's being made. Graham's asking the question, is it being made? It's being shared. It's being the British Boxing Board of Control have sanctioned it for the Celtic title, but it still hasn't happened. I know it supposedly is happening, but until it's nailed down and a date's given and the whole lot, well, Graham can't just sit in the couch. So Ian just got on to look, can Graham get a 4-rounder, just keep fit, keep ticking over, keep alive. And the other thing as well is keeping the public eye, because sleep, sometimes when you're not in the eye and all the other boxers are, people think you're gone, you're asleep, you know what I mean? So it's nice to keep him active and get him ready for his title fight. And please God, then he'll come back onto our cards in May or June and potentially have another title fight. We have something earmarked there that we'll have to just see, does it go the way we plan on it going, so we can open something up for him there as well.
Well, listen, I mean, just from the names we've mentioned, what a card. I mean, this is your second show. People seem to forget this is your second show, not your second year, your second show. And you've got to be commended for this kind of, I don't know what the word is. It's like it's a breath of fresh air to have proper boxing fights and good, decent boxers out, and everybody's going to enjoy it.
Oh, well, that's again that's the plan, Johnny. It's a night's entertainment. It's not just come support the guy that you bought the ticket off. I want people to come and go, oh wow, this is great. I said this before the first show. I want people to come and say, oh yeah, this is a good night. I like this. That was a great night, and that's the feedback I got from the first one. So I'm not it's not broken. Don't fix it. There is things I need to fix, which have already been fixed. Some small things. There are things that people wouldn't see from the outset, but there's a few tweaks I needed to make just to tidy things up a bit and make it a little bit better for the audience. And I feel we've done that. And I'm really looking forward to it. I really am.
Well, listen.
By the way, the ring will not be as small this time. We're making it's going to be a bigger ring this time.
Well, that'll please a lot of people, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Now, listen. Little bird tells me that you've absolutely dropped a clanger and put this beautiful boxing show on the same night as your wife's birthday. How on earth are you going to get away with that, lad?
Johnny, who else puts on a big party like that, invites 700 people to it? I don't think there's many husbands that have had a 700 capacity party for their missus. You know what I mean?
Is that your line and you're sticking to it?
Well, that's what I'm selling it to her. So, that's what I'm selling to her.
At least she'll have a ringside ticket, let's hope.
No, she won't get a ringside ticket. She's too expensive, Johnny. She'll be up at the tables.
Oh dear, mate.
Ringside tickets are profitable, you know what I
mean? Oh, you make me laugh. Mate, listen, it's fabulous to see this coming together. I'm glad you're back to business. I think a few people over Christmas kind of had a little bit of downtime and a bit of time to reflect on the last year, because I think boxing changed last year. Some good, some bad. And I think going forward, it's now all about positive. And from what I can see, this is a really, really good show with good fights and good intentions. And that's, it's great to see in boxing.
We have a press conference. Yeah, press conference this Friday, Johnny.
You're going to say press conference. Press conference next Friday, I believe.
Yeah, the press conference next Friday. Again, we haven't sat in front of people in a while. The first press conference was well before the last show. So we just want to go through, as you do in a press conference, talk up the fights, tell people who people are fighting, etc. But there is a big announcement on that press conference. And it's a big announcement.
You're finally coming out, are you?
Yeah, but I haven't told her yet, so I don't release that until at the end of the week. No, there is a big announcement on it. It's to do with our next card and stuff like that. So it's important to get these guys in the public eye. We need to get them into the media. We need to meet. Again, we need the media to be there. I've said that at the last press conference. You couldn't get into the press conference for Katie Taylor's show last year, and look, Katie deserves that, and deserves that and more for what she's done for boxing and the person she is. But these are all kids starting out. Can the media not get behind these guys as well? Because there is going to be a day when Katie's gone. So does that mean all the press conferences don't get a crowd anymore? The media need to start coming to all the events, coming to press. There's not many people putting on press conferences. There's probably in Ireland last year, there's probably 4, maybe 5 press conferences. I'm sure the media can stretch to 4 or 5 press conferences and make all the boxers in the country feel special and feel like they're appreciated, rather than just one boxer feeling appreciated and special. She is special and is appreciated, but it'd be nice for the media to spread it across and start coming to these events and start making them bigger. Because if this, if a few clips went out into the local papers and things like that, it's only going to build a brand. It's going to build up the profiles of the fighters. Therefore, it'll become a little bit easier for them selling their old tickets, and you might even get the likes of the TV on board. The sponsorship levels will come up. If the sponsorship levels come up, it makes it easier for the fighters. And that's what we're trying to do here. I don't give a shit about being seen in the paper. It's just I want to see the lads get their rewards and get their appreciation for who they are and what they are and what they're doing. Because at the end of the day, they're young professionals. They're
Well,
only starting
listen,
out and they're getting trade.
we've literally got about 2 minutes left on the call now. But is the press conference going to be available online anywhere?
Yeah, I'm sure it will, Johnny. Yeah, the last time I think it was as well. So
Okay, so
I'll double
guys, just
check with
keep
one
your
of the
eyes on the
lads.
JB Promotions Instagram page.
Yeah.
That's where you're posting all the information about things like this. And then there's a racket here in my house. um, we're looking forward to this. It's really, really good cards. Very, very well put together. If anyone was at the first fight, they'll know that, what a night. It was a cracking night and very well received. And I'm seeing something even better. So we hope that it goes well for you, mate. And we look forward to the press conference next Friday at 1 o'clock.
Thank you very much, Johnny, for your time as always. I really appreciate it.
As always, mate, and we wish you the best. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, Johnny. Thanks again.